So this is a leaf chewer.
Last fall, when I was here looking at the orchard, I went to a specific apple called the winter banana. And this is an apple tree that the fruit is ready in the fall. It is mostly yellow, except it looks like someone's taken a red paintbrush and sort of washed one side of it, so that when you bring the apple up to your face to bite into it, you bite into it and you smell banana, but then you taste apple. It's just absolutely phenomenal. And I thought, the kids need to know about this. Now, how am I going to get the kids involved? So I thought, okay, let's see, I'll need to prune the trees. So I went online to different pruning programs that were available, and I found this thing called Adopt a Tree.
John Hood brought his new idea of adopting a tree to the BC Forest Discovery Centre. The first step has been to bring the heritage trees in this orchard back to health. Significant pruning has been required.
So 4 years, yeah, okay, that's a no-brainer. I'll volunteer my time for 4 years to look after the orchard, bring it back.
How would John get kids involved in Adopt a Tree? By providing an education program outlining the history, cycle of life, more about pollinators and other aspects connected to this heritage apple orchard.
Now, if I get it all up and running, it's got to be sustainable. It's got to pay for itself. So how do I get it to pay for itself? Well, the apple wood that's cut off could be chipped up. It could be used for smoke wood, for smoking meats. So I found a fellow who smokes meats, and he'd be willing to try. I found a tree company that will chip the wood for free as their donation to the organization. And then I thought, okay, now juice or apples. So if we squeeze the winter apples, we could sell the juice on the train at Christmas time. I think that would draw so many people, and it would create huge revenues. Plus, it would have more people want to come to the Forest Museum, which is the aim.
John has plenty of ideas, including turning the apple pumice into pig food. Nothing would be wasted.
And it just goes on and on and on.
John's interest in this orchard started several decades ago.
In the 1980s, when the people who lived here on the property, I had a pruning business, and I came up and I said, how about if I prune your trees? And they said, well, you know, what are we going to do with all the apples? I said, how about if I prune your trees for free and I take half the crop? And they said, okay, you got a deal.
There are at least 50 trees in the orchard, most of them 60 to 100 years old.
I know of 7 different varieties here. There's the yellow transparent, there's Tideman's red, there's red Gravenstein, there's winter banana, there's snow, and I think there's Crimson King, and I think there's Wolf River or red Athabasca, and that used to be called the pie apple because one apple made a pie.
Well, some of these trees are so elderly that I see a lot of moss and I see a lot of lichen. That's not necessarily a bad thing, is it?
No, the moss and lichen isn't doing anything to the trees at all. It's just using it as a place to grow. Okay, so from where we're standing here to my right, your left was mostly brambles. And so a fellow by the name of Tim, he's a volunteer here. He's done most of the grunt work, as it was. And another part of the orchard, 2 rows of trees you couldn't see for the blackberries. I belong to Pollinators organization, and there's 10 of us in the group, and we're going to be planting flowers here at the Forest Museum to encourage the native pollinators. So there's over 60 different kinds of bees that live here. And there's sand bees and stump bees and twig bees and bumblebees and honeybees, and we just want to encourage that. There's a big push on in the States with an organization called Xerxes, and they have Pollinators Day, and it would be nice to recognize that the bees are an important part of our life here and the important job they have to do, and then to tell the kids. Right? There are future leaders and doctors and politicians. They need to know.
The BC Forest Discovery Centre manager is Chris Gale, and he has been enthusiastic about Adopt a Tree. Working with John Hood, they have had some success already.
He's had a couple of people who have come forward and said that when they were younger, they remember playing at the Forest Museum and they want to adopt a tree. And so 2 trees have been adopted. So they'll get a plaque with their name on it, and they'll get a Christmas card, and everyone will know that that tree has been adopted and will be looked after. Yeah, it'll be a big bonus for the Forest Museum to have a working ecosystem around fruit trees, a real draw, a door opener to get more people in here. This is a great place. The staff is absolutely wonderful. Bend over backwards for you. They're beautiful people.